All right, guys. Are you ready?
I am ready.
You're in the bottom left hand corner of Oxide, the first map of this best of 3 series. Here is where the red Zerg is currently spawning, playing for Clash. It is the Italian master, REYNOR.
And spawn here at the top right. We got ourselves the blue Protoss. He is from EU, of course. Considered the best Terran, or not Terran, best Terran, the best Protoss in EU. It is SHOWTIME.
And it is a full-on clash of styles between these two players. One, REYNOR, very well known for his very aggressive plays, for the way he tries to be as proactive as possible at all times, even while keeping up an incredible macro. And on the other side, we have the defensive Protoss player. He's so good at defending anything. That is one of his nicknames is actually the Mauer, the Wall. And talking about walls, he's gonna need to build a very big one, because REYNOR, this last year, man, he's been on fire.
Yeah, for sure. He was basically able to win the IEM Katowice championship, which, you know, by default kind of places him as the best player in the world. Although I'm sure people will want to go ahead and debate that. But until then, I would say he is definitely has definitely gotten his big break in the past year or so. And a lot of it, of course, has to do with his rivalry against Cero in EU. They've been kind of back and forth as who's the best player in EU or in the world. And people debate sometimes it's Cero, so people debate sometimes it's REYNOR. And I think you can make a case for both players, actually.
Yeah, also Dark, honestly. Like, these three players, like, are all pretty much on the same level. Like, there's some days in which one of these three is gonna be best in the other twos, and some days in which that is not going to happen. And lately, this is happening a little bit more in favor of REYNOR, but that doesn't mean the other two players are not as strong. And honestly, this doesn't mean that players such as SHOWTIME cannot bring down the Italian Zerg. SHOWTIME, incredibly strong Protoss player, as you said, probably best Protoss in Europe, and I'd say is at least top 3 foreign Protoss.
Yeah, for sure. Graveyard in the live chat asking, what are we watching? We're watching a group stage match between REYNOR and SHOWTIME from Home Story Cup. So we're casting from replays from that tournament. But anyhow, we do see that SHOWTIME has opened up with a Void Ray build, and Void Ray builds and openings has been so common these days against Zerg. And to be fair, they are pretty, decent and strong to open up with. First of all, it makes it harder for the Zerg to open up with a big roach push, and secondly, the Lynx doesn't really shoot up in the air or attack up in the air, so they can't do anything about the Void Ray, and it forces the Zerg player to kind of make some queens and spore crawlers.
Yeah, I may sound like a broken jukebox sometimes, but map control is a very important thing in StarCraft. And Stargate plays, Void Rays, Oracles, Phoenixes, all these things grant you pretty much uncontested map control in this matchup for a lot of time. That means you can tech up faster, quicker, more safely. It means you can see what it is about to hit you, if something is about to hit you. And overall, you can contest creep, which is another very important thing, especially against some of the best players, such as REYNOR, who can really overtake the map with creep incredibly fast.
Yeah. Now we do see, of course, this 2 Stargate Void Ray build that has been so used, and the question is, does he commit to the Void Rays? Does he just go all out Void Rays, or does he only make a limited amount and then he transition? It looks like he is gonna start transitioning as he got his Twilight Council and the Forge, researching Charge and +1 upgrade. So it looks like he will stick with only a limited amount of Void Rays, force the Zerg player to overreact, just overmake Queens and Spores, and then transition, and then kind of probably add in the Templar Archive for Storm if he scouts that Reynor is going for Hydralisk.
Yeah, and just Void Rays into Charge, into Templar Archives is just such a strong maneuver. Because anything you can do in this order basically counters everything the Zerg can do. If you go Void Rays, the Zerg must go for Hydras, which are hard countered by Zealots. And at that stage, if the Zerg player goes for Banelings or anything to the likes of that, tries to bring down Lurkers, then the Storms come in clutch, like settling the score with Lurkers and, of course, deleting Hydras out of the map.
Yeah, now
this is not live, guys. This is a replay from StayAtHome Story Cup.
Yeah. All right, so looks like mass gateways being added on by the Protoss. Looks like he wants to go for a potentially a big attack. I mean, Charge is almost done. +1 is almost done. This wouldn't be the worst time to actually go across the map and attack. Now, that being said, there is no Warp Prism, so if he is going to attack, it's going to have to be from a slow rally point or a far rally point. Instead, it looks like he's going to go ahead and plot down the 4th base instead and just go to a potential macro game or the very late game. And this kind of plays to the style of Showtime. He's very, macro oriented and very defensive.
Yeah, I was thinking exactly the same. Oh, this Oracle finds himself a little bit trapped. That's a lot of Queens from Reynor. And a lot of Roaches in the production tab. I actually think the aggressor this time is not going to be Showtime, even with how much tech he has been building over time. Reynor really putting the feet on the throttle for the amount of units he's producing. He has a lot of Queens still producing Glial Reconstitution for Roaches to move a little bit faster, and these rocks are gonna be the next target of the army of Reynor, who's currently maxed out and ready to strike.
And you know what? This is a huge army force as he has a 114 to 67 army supply lead. He's gonna have to make some good damage as he is equal in bases. And sorry for the noises in the background. But here we go.
Basically needs perfect storms right now. He's gonna be starting to produce these disruptors, which are going to be super important, but are they going to be in time? Right now, you see Bios raining down on top of the Void Rays. So many Queens! How did he make so many Queens? Oh my goodness. So many Queens, so many Transfuses, so much health on this army that can still be reinforced with more Roaches making their way through the map on a lot of creep with Glial Reconstitution. Queens finally taking some serious beating at this stage, with the Void Rays really incredibly staying alive and keeping up the damage. There's one reason why people call this guy the Wall. Look at his defense. The amount of pressure that Reynor is putting in is off the planet. There's so much stuff going on, so many units, but Showtime keeping up his 67 army supply, rocking even more. Immortal staying alive. Shibari overcharge helping a lot with this, but there's no more energy on these Queens right now, and the Disruptor is out, getting these Novas upon Novas upon Novas, and lowering the amount of units the Zerg player can bring to the table. Void Rays still up and standing, only one has fallen, and Reynor has learned an important lesson. And this guy over here in the top right, he cannot be broken easily. Roaches still making their way past, another shield battery overcharge, keeping these Immortals alive. Only one of them has fallen. The Phoenixes ready to cut the deal, but there's no more gas for Reynor to put in his engine, and finally Showtime moving through the map himself.
What is such an impressive hold there by Showtime, and by golly, that was scary. I mean, that army of Reynor was no joke, and somehow, some way, Showtime manages to hold on and doesn't even really lose too much in that engagement. So I'm liking Showtime's position here.
Absolutely. Still finding damage with his Phoenixes, lifting a couple of Ravagers before they can bile them down. There's a Hive incoming for Reynor. Once again, it's a matchup that's all about really raising the tech. If that Hive completes and Reynor is not completely crippled, there is still a universe in which Reynor wins this game, but there's so much Protoss army on creep right now. Such a strong army, both in supply and in tech. Reynor really needs to do a miracle right now. The Hive is almost done, but it's not gonna be done fast enough for it to matter. That's a lot of Banelings in the making. A Fleet Beacon incoming for Showtime. Baneling Nest just barely started. It's not gonna be fast Banelings for this defense. Banelings trying to connect on everything. They connect mostly on Archons, but it's still gonna find a lot of damage. Actually, this was a good connection for Reynor. This was a good hold. And don't know if it was good enough with top left corner a whole amount of Zealots warp in to stop this base from ever getting too comfortable.
Alright, looks like he's going to be making his way into the main instead, and it's going to be tough for Reynor to kind of split his army here. He's got to decide how much to allocate to the main and how much to allocate to his other bases.
Oh my god, that is almost game ending. So many Zealots getting on top of everything there is over here. Roaches trying to fight at the best. Meanwhile, the army of Showtime trying to collapse here in the top left. The army of Reynor trying to catch up. These are still slow Banelings. Steel carriers in the making. The Spire just started for Reynor. Finally, fast Banelings trying to roll past everything. Banelings, will they do that? Beautiful connections. Showtime finds himself in a pretty odd position. Still manages to back off and save a lot of his units. Is he saving enough? The Banelings trying to get more connections. Zerglings trying to get a wrap around. One last Archon, very low on health. While these Ravagers rain down piles on top of the Vertebrates. Both of these actually falling down. Reynor, how was he able to put up this much pressure with just this little tech? So many Banelings in the production tab right now, and Reynor trying to make a final stand. Beautiful Purification Nova. Is it going to be enough? Carriers are currently out, but there's so many Banelings running past everything. Roaches and Ravagers still up and standing. Banelings collapsing on these Archons without actually giving any serious damage. And now that the carriers are out, these Roaches and Ravagers need to back off. Showtime sending another round of Zealots in the bottom right as a counter. And now the game is in a very odd position once more. 8 Corruptors being produced on one side, a lot of carriers on the other. But the economical losses are a little bit too much. Showtime takes the first game of the series.
Wow, what a game there. First of all, brilliant hold, brilliant defense there by Showtime. But then also, as impressive was Reynor's ability to almost come back in that game, despite being behind. Almost, putting a little bit of pressure and heat on Showtime. But luckily, the carriers came out just in the nick of time and was able to hold on to that big attack. And yeah, the counterattacks, and after that, Reynor had to GG out. And Showtime will take a 1-0 lead here in this best of 3.
Yeah, very deserved lead. Showtime playing an incredible game number 1. But we're heading on Jagannatha for game number 2. And there's one reason why people call it Zerganatha. Let's see if it stays true.
All right. Let me go ahead and actually switch the scoreboard here. All right. Here we go. Jagannatha, game number 2. Take it away.
Bottom left-hand corner is where the red Zerg player is currently spawning. And it's 2 in a row to make it up for the loss in game number 1 to win this best of 3 series. Can he do that? It is Clash's very own REYNOR.
And spawn here at the top right. He is the blue Protoss player. 1 game away from clinching the series against the big dog. Can he do it? It is showtime. Alright, so Showtime, of course, as you mentioned before, very known for his defensive plays and being very defensive oriented. And there is a kind of a criticism along with that, because some feel, and I'm not sure if you feel the same way, but some feel that even though it's one of his strong traits to be a great defensive player, it might also sometimes be his weak point, where he plays too passively, that he kind of lets his opponent come back in the game even when he's ahead. And sometimes it's to his detriment that he does not go a bit more aggressive. And I know a lot of people wish that he was a bit more aggressive, like maybe Zest or even Parting, and would feel like he would have more better results if he did go or play a bit more aggressively.
As all things, like, there's some truth in that. It's undeniable that sometimes Showtime resets a little bit too laid back, even after 1 engagement, I meant, of course. And this leads him to lose sometimes game he should have won. There are many examples of that in his career. But I do still feel like there are many examples also of the times he just played incredibly solid defensively and just won thanks to that. Like any player, there's strengths and weaknesses, and Showtime tries to play the best of his strengths while minimizing his weaknesses. A player that likes to play very aggressively may find himself coming back in games he didn't think he would have, by abusing these weaknesses of Showtime, but I do feel like that is a very difficult thing to do. So, while I feel like if he played a little bit more aggressively, it would be even better than he is, I still do feel like it's not required for his playstyle to be that much more aggressive. It's just his way to do things. It has worked out for him very well in his career, and I seriously doubt he's going to change that.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe one day he'll decide to change up, because you want to play to your strengths, but sometimes, like, let's say all his opponents knows his playstyle, that he's not one of those cheesy aggressive players, so they will kind of open up like extra greedy because they know his playstyle, and they maybe go for like 3 hatchery before pool or something, because they're like, hey, Showtime not gonna really go for an all-in or for a cannon rush or anything like that, or a proxy, 4 gateways out in the middle of nowhere. So they feel a little bit more safer to go extra greedy against a player like Showtime. And so sometimes, like, maybe like in the future, if Showtime does decide to go change up his playstyle a bit more, he might find himself being a little bit unpredictable, and might actually pick up some extra wins that way. But anyhow, let's get back into this game. Oracle will be flying into the main base. Doesn't get too much done, only 2 drones, and that's a little bit unfortunate because there was no spore caller, but 2 queens there in position to defend.
Yeah, of course, that one Oracle not really supposed to get much more than what he did. Still, Pulsar Beam, gonna get 2 drones, gonna get a little bit of scouting information. And did he catch the lair morphing? Let me check. Yes, he did. So he still did get a good amount of information. That lair was a little bit on the early side, and that prompts him to feel like REYNOR is about to go for something a little bit more aggressive than the previous game.
Yeah.
Revelation gets dropped onto the 3rd. He sees there's no 4th base as well. It should really start making him feel this attack coming.
Oh, a little bit uncharacteristics of REYNOR, kind of not defending or sending his queen to defend earlier than you usually expect him to, and he's gonna lose 7 drones, and that is gonna hurt because I feel like REYNOR wants to go for a big push, and he wants to have the as I say that, throws down a Nidus network, so looks like he is gonna go ahead and put on some pressure across the map. And it's not the actually I like this choice because really Showtime only gonna have a couple of void rays, not a lot on the ground, as he is starting to throw down his gateways. Not gonna be able to, you know, warp in as much, maybe 1 or 2 at most rounds of warp ins, but not much than that.
It's a very interesting position. Showtime needs to play this almost perfectly to stop REYNOR from getting full control of the map and trying to snowball this game. That's a very interesting defensive positioning for Showtime. Photon cannons, shield batteries, and there's this funnel in the center, in between the 2 walls, from which REYNOR can hardly go past. That's interesting, but there's still not a lot of units for Showtime. REYNOR really overwhelming amount of Ravagers and Queens, this time hitting a little bit quicker than the previous game, and now these Biles are starting to connect even with the Void Rays. Queens making their way past everything while the Biles connect with the cannons, bringing down hell from the sky is the army of REYNOR. Void Rays eating so many different Biles, shield battery overcharged, trying to keep the one single Void Ray alive, barely managing to do so before it falls. Only Ravagers are left alongside these 4 Queens. And Showtime, once more, it's just outstanding how does he do that. He keeps up the same amount of supply they had when deal started. REYNOR is gonna try to do the same, more Biles raining down, but now Zealots have charged, and they're charging on top of both Queens and Ravagers. These are Roches and Ravagers making their way through the map. There's still a lot of Void Rays up in the air, and Queen's not really high on energy. Another Transfuse is gonna save this Queen. Very beautiful micro maneuver by REYNOR to save his Queen. Positioning out of the Nidus Worm, moving outside of that. But there's also Crypt Tumor up over here. So these Queens can easily kite around the army of Showtime. Both players basically taking equal losses. And now it's only about Ravager's losses on one side and Archon losses on the other. Another 2 Void Rays actually go down to 2 Biles, and there's many more Queens to come. REYNOR taking its time to replenish his forces before striking once more. That's 1 econ of attack, and there's so much action happening at every single time.
Yeah, looks like, oh my gosh, Showtime, I think he gotta block himself in. Those Archon too fat to even go back into the shield, through the shield battery, and he is stuck. He needs to face up against these Roaches and Ravagers straight up.
Oh, more Ravagers being morphed in, more Biles ready to rain. This building positioning has been the boon of the earlier defense of Showtime, and is right now being what is actually killing him. Only 1 Void Ray remaining, that 1 Archon completely blocked in between 3 different shield batteries, and REYNOR is not caring about that at all. He just leaves him be and goes past everything else. Meanwhile, 7 drones falling to a Zealot run by in the main. War Prism is still up there, still dealing damage, forcing REYNOR to go back home actually.
Yeah.
Beautiful move by Showtime.
Okay, he's not going to send his entire army back home, which I was about to say, like, you should not. I mean, you got to keep up the pressure. He's getting some nice little trades here, especially since the building placement has forced Showtime to eat a bit more corrosive biles than he would like to, and also has actually given REYNOR a better concave throughout the fight too. So I would love to see REYNOR kind of continue the pressure here at the natural and the third.
So many beautiful Biles raining from every single position, really hitting so many different key units for Showtime. We've seen Archon upon Archon falling just straight up to these Biles, but now that Disruptors are out, it's gonna be much harder for REYNOR to keep up with the aggression. He needs a follow-up. He needs another idea to bring down the full might of his army on the one of SHOWTIME. But SHOWTIME is really not faring that well himself.
He is starting to add in those disruptors, which actually does pretty well against what REYNOR has. It's going to be up to REYNOR to split. Oh my god! Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
that wasn't a split, guys. That was 40 supply worth of Ravagers done in an instant. Disruptor doing it again. Still much more queens than I was expecting over here at the 4th base of REYNOR. Still gonna be very hard for SHOWTIME to actually break through, but these Purification Novas are really starting to gain value over time. REYNOR still maxed out. There's so many Banelings ready to get the wraparound. Oh my god, this could be a disaster for SHOWTIME. If those Banelings get the connections, it could be over in seconds. And the Banelings getting past everything. Oh my goodness. Look at the health of the army of SHOWTIME going down in an instant. Slow Banelings doing the trick. 2 Disruptors surviving, only 1 right now. More Roaches, more Ravagers sending through, as well as the Queens. And he's now only playing Stalkers alongside the 1 lonely Immortal and these 2 Phoenixes trying to do the trick. REYNOR getting dangerously close to that Warp Prism. The last stand of the aggression of SHOWTIME. And it looks like this has been REYNOR's game to win.
Oh man, yo, after that huge disruptor hit, I was like, is REYNOR in trouble here? But man, he manages to reinforce his army and just barely held on there. And GG, that was an incredible win there by REYNOR.
Yeah, those Banelings, oh my goodness. I've never seen such a good usage of slow Banelings. In this matchup as well, like, Banelings are deceptively hard to use in ZVP as well, honestly. Like, that was crazy good. Maneuvering around the acceleration zone. Very good play by REYNOR. The score is tied. Let's see who brings this home.
Alright, 3rd map, Pillars of Gold.
We're in the bottom left-hand corner. And the red Zerg is currently spawning. Winning the 2nd game of the series. Can he do it again? It is Clash's very own REYNOR.
And he is the Blue Protoss, hailing from EU. 1 game away from beating REYNOR. Can he do it, guys? It is showtime. Alright, Pillars of Gold. Now, of course, this map does have 2 potential third bases. And I am interested to see which base, 3rd base, that REYNOR decides to go for. Of course, the I guess 6 o'clock base would be more wide open, and would be hard.
I think it's the best choice, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a Zerg, I would probably go for the 6 o'clock base. Although if REYNOR wants to go for that Queen Roach push, you know, would it be the worst choice to go for the triangular base as well?
It has been kind of the leitmotif of this series so far. REYNOR trying to go for the 3-base Roach push attack. 1 time with Nidus, 1 time without. Sending a lot of queens with that as well. It has been a play that is granting a lot of success to REYNOR as a player. So, wouldn't be too surprised to see that again. And on the other side, I'm a little bit more interested this time to see what SHOWTIME wants to pull out the hat to try to counter what has been going on in the last game. Because his attempt of moving out after a good defense wasn't really working at all against a player such as REYNOR, who's so deceptive with his unit positioning. What do you think is going to happen after this very standard Stargate opener?
You know, we have seen SHOWTIME go for that 2 Stargate Void Ray play, And I feel like he might go for the same build once more. Now, this is a bit trickier map to go for it because the natural and the dirt base are a little bit further apart. So it kind of splits some of your shield battery and cannon placements. Like, you got to decide, do I build more on the natural or do I build more on the dirt base? And if I build more on the natural, the Zerg might just go for the dirt base. And if I build more on the dirt base, the Zerg might go for the natural instead. So it's a little bit more trickier. In the last map on Jagannatha, it was a bit more easier because he kind of built it right, the defense right between the third and second. So it was a little bit more easier in on paper to defend and to place your shield batteries and cannons. But this map a little bit more tricky to do so.
A couple of catches with the adepts from Showtime. Oh my goodness, both adepts died though.
Oh, that.
Yeah, that hurts.
Not the best start, but definitely not game ending by any stretch of the imagination.
It is going to mean that Showtime is going to have to keep his Oracle back home to stop his third Nexus from being cancelled by the Zerglings. It's still going to go up. Like, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, the probe goes down.
Poor
well,
probe.
he's gonna have another probe. I don't really sympathize for probes, but yeah.
Hey,
like,
man.
what the most evil thing in StarCraft?
Probe lives matter. Probe lives matter.
Yeah. I mean, sure. That opinion could change very quickly if you're a Zerg and you find 2 probes in your natural.
Oh yeah.
But yes.
Planting down those cannons, right?
Yeah. That's not even the cannons, it's the robot that really, really makes me angry. But yeah, whatever. That's 4 adepts making their way through the map. It looks like Showtime might have decided to try and cripple REYNOR a little bit more compared to the other game. This shit actually completes. He's gonna find a couple drones. I don't really think that was super worth it though.
Yeah, I think he's trying to pull some of these units and queens to the dirt base while he had tried to harass at the natural. But look at REYNOR. He's got this pretty much down. He just got the Oracles, so was able to place some queens at the natural along with the spores, of course, and was able to lose or defend without losing anything besides, of course, the adepts kills.
Yeah, a couple drones actually died, but it wasn't any significant damage. REYNOR still ahead in workers. Still needs to drop down his 4th base, but he has a Larian coming. Sentries are in real danger. Losing sentries this early in the game might be a little bit too crippling, but they do survive. Oracle come from the rescue. And it's a Twilight Council follow-up by Showtime, ready to get his first ground weapon upgrade. Yeah,
now do note that this time around, Showtime did not plant down the second Stargate, so there's not going to be a mass Void Ray production here in the early game. He's going to go ahead and transition to a ground unit a bit more quicker compared to the previous games.
On the other hand, REYNOR answering to that with his own Spire. He wants to get air control this time. And with an infestation pit coming, this might be a very quick raise to later stages of the game, because that was a 630 infestation pit. That is as early as you can possibly get it without crippling yourself too much. With the 4th base incoming, there's so many different possibilities from REYNOR to take the series from now on.
Yeah, if you can, let's see here. Does he scout the Spire? Looks like he does not quite do so. Oh, wait,
the revelation.
Wait, does he see it?
Yeah, you see that.
Okay, he does see it.
He has revelation on the drones that are in range of the Spire, so he does see that.
That's huge. I mean, we all,
absolutely.
Yeah, we've all. I mean, not all of us, but the Protoss players all been there where they get surprised by a flock of Mutalisks and has no anti-air, no cannons or shield batteries in the mineral line, no phoenixes, and it gets super difficult. It's like almost an automatic GG at times. And if you can scout the Spire tech before even morphs in, that's definitely helpful. You can start making those phoenixes. You can start planting down those defenses, and it gets much easier to defend after that.
But now, Showtime has dropped a revelation in the third, seeing that REYNOR has an infestation pit. He now sees the first few swarmos actually spawning. He didn't see the hive. And he has a lot of zealots. He's making his way through the map. He wants to deal damage right now. He wants these swarmos to not go on the aggression. Oracle's trying to make these swarmos stay put. But Showtime will have to back off from that position on creep. This is a unique position for both players, with Swarmos slowly strolling their way into the third base of Showtime, dropping so many locusts. And here they come, ready to get down on top of the army of Showtime, safely trying to kite backwards. Locust diving on top of one of the Immortals, getting it before he can escape, but the Oracle's still getting so much damage. Locust, the DPS is through the roof. Immortal gets saved by Showtime's War Prism, but one Archon and one other Immortal have been easily dealt with by REYNOR, who's gonna quickly replenish his Roach forces, and is also gonna catch these run by Zealots in the bottom right, forcing a recall out of Showtime. REYNOR much in a commanding position.
Yeah, and there's still a good amount of swarm hosts. In fact, 11 swarm hosts still alive that can throw down those locusts. And there we go. Locusts gets shooted out here. Now there are 4 Archons here to do some splash damage to those locusts. Oh, Disruptors out in the field.
Yeah, Locust not the best unit to dodge those Purification Novas. Queens, much of the same. Swarmos, don't even let me start about it. And these Roaches may find themselves at a very big disadvantage against 4 Archons, while the Phoenixes lift Ravages one after the other. Yeah, that is a very solid defense on the side of Showtime. So many gateways, so many zealots. Such a good decision making by Showtime in a time of stress.
Yeah, but in the end, those Disruptors and Archons gonna be the main units in his army. And oh, that's a big, huge, oh my god, second huge Disruptor hit.
Yeah. On the meanwhile, in the right, Locust may find themselves overwhelmed by Archons, not able to get the Nexus. REYNOR's aggressive play heavily slowed down, adding up the Nidus network to bring a little bit more proactiveness to his play, but he needs a hive to advance to later stages and try to counter those Archons.
Alright, looks like Showtime gonna go ahead and might want to go actually send a batch of Zealots. Look like he is sending 3 here onto the left side. Probably want to send out a bit more, but after killing so much Roaches and Ravagers, I mean, Showtime must feel pretty good about where he's at now. He's got like up to 6 Archons in the field, starting to add in those Immortals to fight against those Roaches. But look there, Nidus network, Nidus Swarm on the left side.
Yeah, that's a very tough position for Showtime. He's probably not gonna be able to save the Nexus. And another Nidus Worm going on the right, right next to this Changeling. Showtime is gonna see this Nidus Worm going up, but the Locust Wave already started in the top left, and these Locusts are surely gonna try to dive on top of the Nexus. Pulsar Beam needed to be used by these Oracles, actually. The wave has been deflected, and now Showtime trying to get on top of these Swarmos on the right with his Zealots and the rest of the army, almost trapping a couple of them before they can escape to safety. There's still the Nidus Worm on the top left, not really killed yet, but of course the rest of the Zealots are gonna try to make their way through here. Ravages trying to stop that one Nidus Worm from falling down. These Purification Novas, oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh wow, REYNOR not watching for an instant and losing the whole amount of Ravagers he slowly built up to. Spire incoming 68. Actually, oh yeah, Spire in the main was destroyed. What? When did that happen? Anyway, another round of Locusts trying to get on the third, failing to do so, but now the Overseer scouts the carrier play from Showtime while the Zealots clear one more Nidus Worm. Pulsar Meme activated once more by the Oracles, trying to stop this army from getting too comfortable, but the Nidus Worm is still going up over here in the top left, while one in the middle of the map is still up and standing. Another wave of Lucas ready to happen in the top left.
Looks like Showtime is not quite as prepared here onto this 12 o'clock base, but once again, Oracles will fly in, but they don't have a lot of energy for the Pulsar Beam, so won't be able to use it to defend. Nidus Worm actually in the main base does get taken out just in the nick of time, and so far a lot of awkward army, maneuvering and positioning by both players. Looks like Showtime is ready to possibly, no, actually does not go towards REYNOR's side yet. It doesn't feel quite comfortable.
See, Locust finally managed to find a kill on the third base of Showtime after some back and forth struggles. But Showtime doesn't really want Locust Waves to be a thing anymore. Beautiful Purification Novas trying to get on top of so many buildings at once, and they do actually get those beautiful connections. So many Archons for Showtime. Such a difficult position to be in for REYNOR, but it's gonna take yet another base. Taking two bases out of the business for Showtime, it only means REYNOR needs to hold. Corruptors and Vipers are out right now. He needs another wave of Locusts to try and get on top of these Archons. So many Balins being moved, and so many of those are going to be cancelled. But Purification Novas, beautiful Novas by Showtime, ready to get into the action. REYNOR struggling to keep up with the defenses, needs to back off, needs to sack the base, losing very important pieces of tech in Infestation Pit and Nidus Network. And now he has so many Archons strolling on creep. A wave of Locusts gets from the main on top of these Archons, finds himself a lot of trap. So many Balins streaming past everything. Vipers getting the blinding clouds and enabling the army of REYNOR to get an incredibly solid defense, one I was not expecting. Carriers amount not heavy enough, and more Corruptors are in the making for REYNOR.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say, you definitely need a bit more Corruptors. So during that first fight, there was just not enough Corruptors for those carriers. 13, 4, 60, double digit amounts about to pop out. That should be enough to possibly clean out these carriers, but does he have enough on the ground though?
Oh, that is very close. It's just pretty much Zealots without those Archons and Purification Novas to deal with this. Locusts making their way to where the Zealots are. They move so much more quicker on creep, but they still are not able to get close enough. These carriers are not really escaping with their lives. So many Corruptors, and now REYNOR needs to deal only with the ground army. There's a bunch of Roaches, Ravagers, and Balins in the making for REYNOR. Much more incoming from the production tab. He's still up one base. Oh, actually, he's not. He's down one base, honestly, to Showtime. But Showtime keeping up with the aggression. Purification Nova. It's so many different units at once. REYNOR struggling to keep up with these Disruptors. The kills this guy has: 26, 22, 16, 22. Like, what? So many perfect connections for Showtime.
Yeah, I mean, the story of this game has been those disruptor hits. I mean, seriously, I feel like, REYNOR has been doing a great job keeping up, but man, if he was able to not take so much disruptor hits, he'll be in a much better position. But Showtime, he does lose another base, but it seems like he might possibly, oh no, actually he just recalls the rest of his army, doesn't quite have enough. There's a bunch of oracles here shooting at the base. Does clear up, and all in all, I mean, 48 workers of REYNOR compared to the 85 of Showtime. I think Showtime should be happy with that attack.
Absolutely. REYNOR finds a struggler in that one Colossus trying to escape. REYNOR needs to find a lot of damage right now. Locust being made here in the right side, ready to try and collapse on this Nexus. They're gonna focus down the shield battery, overcharge. Meanwhile, the rest of the army finds himself trapped by these Void Rays and Oracle's Ravagers, strolling back on creep to make a quick retreat back home, but the Oracles won't leave them alone a second. There's not a lot of anti-air right now, with the Corruptors being heavily countered by the Void Rays. Fire's raining down on top of everything right now. Corruptors coming back home to try and deal with both Oracles and Void Rays. Is one Viper still alive, but not for long it seems. He actually survives another wave of Locusts. Helps Reynor stay alive. These Warmoths have gained so much value throughout the game. It's actually crazy.
Yeah, it's surprising that they have lasted this long still. And actually, those Locusts are going to find some of these reinforcements. Showtime's going to go ahead and march towards this left side base. Reynor is actually going to go ahead and just completely evacuate and sack that base.
Oh, that's a heavy hit. That base was so important for Reynor. His most strongest mining base. Now he has 26 workers in a base that can support a maximum of 8. His main is completely out of resources. His natural is getting very close to that. He's not collecting any real gas. What he has right now is basically all he's ever going to work with. The Swarmos are way out of position. They're gonna drop a Lucas wave. They're gonna survive actually, and they're gonna also take a good trade. But that was such a risky maneuver.
Yeah, man. Just when I think Reynor's coming out of it, he kind of gives himself a little bit of hope. Now, still, he is in quite a not the best positioning right now, but he's trying to make work of his Locusts and of those Roaches and Ravagers. But looks like a lot of these are Locusts are kind of low life, or not low Locusts, Swarm Hosts.
Yeah, Swarmos.
Yeah, they're kind of a low life. And oh, nice sniping of Showtime, decreasing the numbers there.
Yeah. Reynor battling down some of his own units. Another wave of Locusts at the ready. Reynor trying to establish a base in the bottom right, while Showtime is actually taking his 7th base, no, his 6th base. Yeah, this is not really going anywhere for Reynor anytime soon. Corruptors falling one after the other. Void Rays just too good against them. Reynor goes for a desperate maneuver. A lot of Ravagers trying to pile down the army of Showtime. This is not going to work. Locust cooldown is still probably like 15 seconds away. Reynor's Ravagers raining down piles, hitting so many different things at once, but there are 4 different disruptors. This army cannot get anywhere close anytime soon, and Reynor doesn't really have the economy to support any transition.
Yeah, you know, with the lack of air, he might Showtime might want to go ahead and go back into Colossus Tech. But you know what, to be honest, he doesn't even need to go back to Colossus Tech. I mean, he's still got those Disruptors, he's still got the Archons, plenty of splash damage units. But yeah, I mean, as the game goes on, wouldn't be surprised to see Showtime go back to making those Colossuses.
Oh, beautiful. Biles actually get a lot of these Disruptors out of position, but oh yeah, that one Bile, yeah. Like, just look at the gas income for Reynor. It's 179. Like, that's no turning back. Yep. He cannot replace those Lost Ravagers, and Showtime takes the series.